Welcome to the Build with Boundaries podcast. My name is Mahnaz, and this podcast is for high achieving women looking to grow without sacrificing family and life. Discover what's missing and making you frustrated, and what's most important for you to achieve the success that you truly desire. All this without compromising the most important things in your life: your time, your family, your values, and your aspirations. So let's dive into today's topic.
Hello and welcome back to another episode on the Build with Boundaries podcast. My name is Mahnaz and I am here to help you to be your most efficient self. Today's topic is living authentically and your human design roadmap. So let's talk about authenticity. It's a word that is perhaps overused, and I think understanding that is so important because it's all very well for us to constantly hear, be authentic and be your true self, but really what does that actually mean? And what does it mean to not only be authentic but to live authentically? So there is this sort of living just by things that go on, that are happening to us, if you like, versus you living in a way that's intentional. And I think that's what the authenticity really brings, is being living in a way that honours you, living in a way that feels good to you, feeling like you are making the choices and it's not like life is happening to you. It's that you are on this journey and feeling empowered, being in that state of empowerment, so that you get to make those choices. And there are choices, there are opportunities. It doesn't feel like you're being pushed into one area or in one way in terms of just how you're living your life. And I think this is such an issue, if you like, for especially women who are running businesses and caring for family and trying to do it all. There is this feeling that we can almost think that we are disconnected from our own true self. And there's several reasons for that. So I just want to cover some of those, and you might be able to see some of yourself in there. So if you think about like all the responsibilities that you are juggling, as I like to call it, the struggle with the juggle that we seem to fall into often, many times, and more often than we'd like to admit. What's actually happening is that all these things that are happening, we cannot create this way of letting go of stuff and actually making the choices, because when we feel like we're in that struggle, it feels like things are happening to us, and it really feels impossible to choose between all the things that we have, because there can be this sort of feeling of pressure and overwhelm, and just generally feeling like you're overloaded in all areas of your life because you can't let go of any of those. So therefore you just have to try and manage. And that's not really us living our best life. It's not us making choices. It can feel like we're very detached from that. And we can feel like we're disconnected because we don't really get that opportunity to ask ourselves, what is it that we really want to do ourselves? And how do we want to be? How do we want to live our life? How do we want to be there for others? What would be an empowering state rather than feeling like there's just this push and pull? There's also this feeling, given all of the responsibilities that you have and given that deep desire you have to make get your business to the level of success that you really want it to be, there's this feeling that whatever is happening on that journey, it can feel like sometimes you're actually there saving everybody else, because you're saying yes to perhaps more things than you would like to in an ideal world, and you're helping people out because that's what you're here to do. You love helping people, so how can you possibly leave somebody in some kind of discomfort and you just feel like you have to take this all on? And when you feel like you have to take all of this on, it's great in the sense that that desire for you to help people is there, but it's also a little bit, if you think about it, it's disempowering for the person, because rather than them helping themselves or doing things in a way that would be better for them, you are there to save the day. And often that's not really what we want to do, because by doing that we are disempowering someone else. And when we think about it this way, that can really hit hard and help us to realise that we don't want to be saving everything, saving everybody, doing everything for others. So does any of those feel familiar to you? Because you can feel lost yourself because you're not really connecting and having that time to reflect on yourself. And with all of the helping and the sort of solving other people's problems, there's also another aspect that I want to touch on here, and that is that we can often, without realising it, be placing our own self-worth, attaching it to helping others. So therefore, if we don't help others, then we are not worthy, we are not of value. And that's really wrong, because again, that's just detrimental to us, and it's devaluing our own self. So I'd love for you to let me know if any of those are resonating with you. Now, what actually happens as a result of that, if you think about this in some shape or form, if there's an authenticity, is much harder. It takes a lot more effort and it's using up a lot more of your energy, because what happens is that you're doing things that feel like they are an obligation, they're a duty, and that's not the best place to be. Again, if that isn't what you want, then you don't want to be acting that way. And that's exactly why you might be struggling to say no, because you want to be there helping others. You've attached this kind of, you do help others, so therefore you don't want to contradict this. And at the same time, when you feel obligated to then do it, that's not the right energy to be in. And is it really what you want? And what also happens is, just with the volume of things that you might have, because just within your business, all the different hats that you wear, all the different roles that you have to play, it feels like it's never ending. And then outside of work, there's an awful lot more there. It could be your parents and your children. It can be just socialising, different things that you want to do. But it can feel like you're just caught up in this hamster wheel. But this hamster wheel of busyness, like it's keeping you busy. Of course it is. But is it really where you're focusing your attention on the things that you want to do? Or is it again this obligation coming in that I must do that? But it can feel never ending. And of course it's draining you of both your time and your energy. And sometimes it feels like you just haven't really got anything to show for all of that busyness that you have been sucked into. And what do you really want to do? Where do you want to focus? Is there a project that you've been wanting to start, or you've perhaps started it but you've never really picked it up? Maybe there's a new hobby, a new idea, but you really haven't had enough focus on it, and you haven't been able to give it the priority that you would love to be able to give it, because that would be really good for you. And if that would be great for your business, great for you as a person, having time for yourself, maybe other things just take over, which means that I'll get to it one day, and that's what you tell yourself, and you're sort of feeling like you're settling, playing small and just making do with what you have, because you don't know any other way. And this is always the case. Like, we don't know what it is that we can change until we actually see it. And the whole overloadedness, I want to say, if that's a new word, that's how you feel, because you're constantly carrying this burden. And because you're carrying it and your focus is on these areas, you're concentrating on getting those things done, you feel that you have even less time for the things that truly matter to you. And you can think of those just in a moment. Like, if you just took 5 seconds now to think about what comes to mind that I would really love to do. Like, if I didn't have any obligations, if my diary was clear today, I didn't have to tend to family, shopping, any things that are on my list, I didn't have anything on my to-do list, then what would really fill my cup and what would I want to do? And authenticity isn't about not doing things, feeling very unnatural. If anything, it is about playing to our strengths. It's about doing more of the things that light us up. It's about doing more of those things that actually feel good inside. So it's not just about the doing, it's the purpose behind it. It's the energy behind that. And when we are more coming from this place of authenticity, then, things are going to feel easier, because it's like having a plan. It just feels easier when you actually know where you're heading. Now, if you're feeling like you might be in this area of, feeling misaligned, then, you might be saying yes to the wrong things. And that could then be leading to emotional and mental drain in particular. Maybe you are constantly adapting things to other people's expectations, and all that does is it erodes the self-trust, because you had perhaps created something in a certain way. Perhaps it's how you were running your course or your program, and when you just want to keep on changing things, it's like, why are you wanting to change them? Because if it's just due to this feeling of obligation and expectation of others, then that is going to be depleting your confidence, because it's chipping away slowly, chipping away at our own self-trust. Like, if we don't have that self-trust, we know that that's something that we will bring to our clients, and it's so important. And the next thing that happens when you are feeling misaligned, even if it's small things, it doesn't even matter. Even those small things can be, you're overwhelmed by them, and you feel like it's easier to not make the decisions that you need to, because you're already so drained. It's the type of decision fatigue that you might not even realise is like actually fatiguing you. And also, when I touched on this earlier, when you are working with your natural abilities and your talents, obviously that is you creating more ease. And the converse is that when you are working against your natural energy, then that is also going to affect you. There's going to be this loss or this absence of flow. And perhaps it's creativity, because in order for you to be creative, you really need to be in the right place in your mind, and in the way that you are, like how you are being is going to affect your creativity. And last but not least, I want to share about how it affects your relationships, because you are going to feel that your boundaries are not aligned. Maybe they are blurred out. Maybe, you are feeling signs of resentment, frustration, annoyance, boredom. Because when you're not aligned, then those are the types of things, and maybe there's this feeling of bitterness. These are all things that can come up. And of course, if that is how we are feeling, they're going to come through in the relationships we have. And again, when we talk about relationships, we need to have relationships in our business. And of course, we have relationships with our family. That's a given. In business, it's easier to think, well, yes, of course, you need to have relationships and they need to work in this way and we need to be confident. But in our private life, when those relationships will really suffer as well, because I'll give you an example of a lady that I worked with recently, and she was very much in this decision fatigue state. Like, there's just so much to do. I have no idea how to get all the things done, and constantly chopping and changing from what she was doing, having so many things to think about and trying to multitask all of them. She's doing stuff, but she's not really doing it in the best way. And she was giving herself self-care and as well. But the thing is that when you are not balancing that out, like, we can't be giving so much that we're not receiving enough to be able to give that. That makes sense, because then we are ultimately just depleting ourselves. And what I want to share is, with those decisions, what can happen is either I touched on this on another episode about decisions, where we can be avoiding the decisions completely, or we can make the decisions and just be regretting them, or we just find it easier to ignore them. Like, we don't even actively make a choice that we're going to ignore them, we just actually put it out of our mind. And when this lady, what was often happening was that the decisions that she would make, she would often be then overthinking about them and thinking, am I really doing the right thing? Especially when it was down to her children. Because when it's about your children, it's so personal and you want to get everything right. And what was really going on with that is that when you are doubting your decisions or not knowing how to make them best, and then when you make them feeling like, well, am I doing the right thing as a parent? Is this the best thing to do? Could I have done it different? How can I do it better? There's so many questions, especially through different challenges that your children will go through, that sort of require this mum has to step up all the time. And when you don't see that fatigue is there, you only notice it when it disappears, like the need to make the decision disappears. All of a sudden, it's like taking a big sigh of relief, as if you've just let go of 2 massive bags of heavy shopping and you don't need to carry that anymore, and it's okay. That is how my client felt when she realised, like, she was actually supposed to make decisions in a certain way, and when she was going against that, that was leading to this stress, that was leading to all of this doubt and feeling sort of confused and doubtful for anything that she had done. And lastly, I think the other aspect that was very helpful with her to see as well was, when you improve those things, like, for example, we're talking about decisions just now, when you improve that in one place, it's like it actually makes an impact on all of the relationships you have. Because when you make decisions in a better way that is actually suited to you, as in how you are wired, then you have more confidence. We talked about when you have more, you need to have more confidence as a business owner, but in your relationships, people will notice that too. And when you notice that as a mother, daughter, wife, with your siblings, friends, clients, anybody, when you are working on this and you can make those decisions easier and you let go of things, that you know when to let go of things, you know where the decision is a yes for you and how to make that decision so it is actually aligned, then everybody who knows you, all those relationships will actually benefit, because one, they will notice it in you, because you will be much more confident. There'll be this inner confidence, and like, you trust yourself. This is all about trusting yourself, and that trust, when you trust yourself, it really shows. And that is, anybody coming into contact with you is going to feel that you are a confident person in yourself. So as we say, like, they're confident in who they are. Now, all this was done through human design and realigning, because when you look at your human design, it's not about labeling people. There are lots of different variables and lots of different information that you can get from this. But ultimately, it's about finding out about what is most natural to you, what is most natural for you, and knowing like what your energy type is, what your authority is. That helps you to see yourself and understand how you are here to live in the world, what are your strengths, and really seeing them in a way that you can then honour them and you can respect them, and knowing then from that information how you're meant to make decisions. It's actually in your design. So some people will need to make a decision in the moment, and other people actually have to sit and wait it out. There are different guidelines that you can get from your human design which help you massively, and they also help you to know how to use your energy in the most efficient manner. Now this has been game changing for me. I was already doing some work around this in terms of how I apply myself, and I think what human design did is it just confirmed that of course this makes sense, and of course I need to do more of this, and letting you see that when often it's just something that you think about but maybe don't really practice. You know, how to energize yourself, how you have to manage your energy. It's almost like we have to manage our energy. When we manage our energy, we can manage a lot more things, because we are being true to ourselves. We are rather than rubbing against the grain, we are going with the grain. We are allowing this flow, we're allowing this, and we just find things so much less stressful. And also, what also comes from this is there's this sense of power that we get from unlearning the things that we have learned over our time as human beings. So things that we have maybe picked up when we were young, things that we have got into habits or routines, fallen into traps or cycles of things that just happen for us. You might recognise some of them and you don't know what to do about it. But what human design can certainly do is help you to see where you're falling into this misalignment, and really practically, because you know it is so practical. It still fascinates me how accurate it is and how much clients can turn around and say, this is just so true. This is me laid out on a table, literally. So let's talk about 3 simple ways that you can start living authentically. And when we say authentically, we're taking away that stress. So it's without that stress, without that overwhelm. So you could first start with just having a pause and a check-in on a daily basis and really asking yourself, is this aligned for me? You know, whenever you feel like there is a decision to make, before you jump in and make that choice, is take a deep breath and have a moment to think about it. Because as simple as it sounds, we do jump into things without actually allowing ourselves to say that this needs my attention and I'm going to give it some of my time. And then making one small shift. Where is one place that you could honour your energy? So right now, today, what is there? One thing that you could do. And it might be that you're just saying no to something that actually doesn't feel right. Maybe it's letting go of things that you've already said yes to. Maybe there's a small shift there that you could make a decision on today. And then thirdly is really learning your design and experimenting with it. And when I say experimenting, it sounds like it's awfully scientific and it's not very real because it's in an experimental phase. But I just want to say that's not the case. What I mean by that experimentation is that you have to try that on, you have to test it out yourself, because it's only in the doing the practical things that you can see that this is not a rule book, but it's more like a tool. So you've probably seen many types of profiling systems and things that create more of a label of what you are. You're an introvert, you're extrovert, you're this, you're Myers-Briggs, you're the disc profiles, all these types of things. And human design is way deeper than that, and it is way more personal, because the way that it takes the information, it's really telling you about where your energy is best placed, and it's telling you, giving you guidance on how you can be most efficient. And when you're going to be most efficient, it's for a purpose, it's to live your fullest potential. And that is just so beautiful. And again, it's lightening the load. It's about unburdening ourselves from things that actually don't matter. And sometimes we can't see that they don't matter because we have got one kind of perspective of ourselves, and we haven't seen things that are in our unconscious side. And there's so many things that are in our natural abilities that we simply have never come to our awareness yet. So I think a really good way to start learning about human design is to see what that actually means for you. And that's why I do a human design spotlight session. So if you have been curious about this, then you can contact me on socials and just send me a DM and say human design spotlight, and we can have a conversation about getting that arranged, because it's a completely free call, and I share one aspect of your design. I produce your chart as well, ask you for some information in order for me to do that, and I help you with one challenge, and you get to see how practical it is, like for you. So it's not some horoscope that somebody's given you that's very woolly. It's very much about you, and it's very personal, and it's also practical. So if you're interested in that, then do be sure to look me up on Instagram or LinkedIn and send me a DM. Now, I want to give you a question to reflect on. What is one small way that you can start aligning today? So just not even overthinking this, like you probably know, it's just trusting yourself. That is what it is. And you can also watch my free Human Design Masterclass, and that will help you to see how human design can be so powerful. You can find that on buildwithboundaries.com/masterclass. So DM me, let me know if this resonated. I would love to know what your biggest takeaway is. And as I've been talking through all the things, maybe there's situations coming up for you that are helping you to connect with what I've said, that are going on for you, that feel like they could be the misalignment. Maybe that is misaligned. Maybe that is where you're feeling some kind of stuckness. There's resistance in some way, and maybe you don't know like really what that means and what that is, but even just knowing that there is that challenge there is often enough. So yeah, take me up on my offer for a human design spotlight session, completely free. It's not a sales pitch at all, but if you do want to talk about how I work with you, then I'd be happy to talk about working either one-to-one or in my group experience that's coming up in April. DM me, let me know how it resonated, and take care until next time.
This podcast is for you, so reach out and let me know what you thought about this episode. You can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram, where I also share valuable content. If you enjoyed this episode, then hit the subscribe or follow button on your favourite podcasting platform so you never miss another episode. I can't wait for you to join me for the next episode of the Build with Boundaries podcast.